Welcome to my How-To Vlog series. Today, I want to talk about how to incorporate spirituality into chronic pain management. This is going to be much more about spirituality than chronic pain today, but there's a reason for that. So let's get in. I believe, first of all, that healing needs to include the whole person. What I mean by that is we do have to understand what is the pain disorder, what is the generators, what is going on physically. I also want to know, though, are you having trouble with medication management? Any substance use disorders, or have you have a history, or do you have a family history? I need to know this. I want to know if there's other mental health or personality problems going on, because those are all really important. I also want to know, what have you done for treatment for your medical conditions? Have you had a series of unsuccessful attempts? Many of the people I work with have. What's going on psychosocially? Friends, family, community, work, not work. What are your assets, not just your liabilities? And how well are you functioning in all these areas of self? Now, this is really crucial for me to know before I help somebody develop a really. So what I'm doing is I'm taking a look at the whole person, because healing has to happen for the whole person. So you can see here there's 4 different areas I believe need to be addressed, and as you can see, they really overlap. Let's start with the biological. This one is about diet, nutrition, exercise, good medical care, good hygiene, good dental care. Then we've got the psychological. This is our ability to manage our thoughts and our feelings in a healthy way, how to make good, positive decisions, how to be centered. And then we've got the social area. This is our connections with friends, family, and community, and not isolating. And the spiritual, I believe, is the glue that holds this all together. That's why I think it's really about time that we pay more attention to that spiritual component, because it definitely, body, mind, spirit approach is where it's at. So a couple of very important questions. What do you see as the difference between religion and spirituality? And what role does spirituality play in your life, in your healing process? A lot of people confuse religion and spirituality. And I want to be really clear, I'm not talking about religion here as we move forward. For me, one of my patients came up because I says, you come back to me with how you see the difference. And that's what I want to encourage you to do too, is how do you see the difference? One of my clients, let's call her Paula. Paula came back and said, well, Steve, for me, what I've determined is religion is a group of people getting together to plan for the next life and following a scripted structure. Okay, and what is spirituality? Well, for me, spirituality is me getting together with a group of people in order to get the best out of this life and following certain principles, values, and practices. Wow, that one really got me. I really resonate with that. So what role does spirituality play? Because I think it's really important to have spiritual values, principles, and practices. So let's talk about each one of those areas a little bit more. It's now time to talk about developing an action plan. Last year I started working on what I call my spiritual warrior journey, Life Without Armor. But my story goes back a lot further than that. It goes back to about a year after I got in my recovery process and got injured really bad and was feeling hopeless, helpless, and I mistakenly believed my life was over. That really forced me into a new paradigm. And thankfully, I had some very wonderful people in my life, some mentors and some personal and professional people in my life that helped me crawl out of that deep, dark hole I got myself in, the chronic pain trance. As a result, I started developing my spiritual warrior principles, practices, values, and I want to talk about that with you today. The importance of developing this kind of an action plan. Here are some examples of spiritual principles. This is taken from a lot, not just me, but from a lot of different spiritual warrior brothers and sisters of mine. You know, these are some pretty powerful principles. To be loving, accepting, self-disciplined, hopeful, forgiving, respectful, empathetic, compassionate, caring, trusting, helpful, faithful, humble, open-minded, serene, committed, focused, courageous. Now, this isn't by far all of the spiritual principles, believe me, but these are some of the more common ones that I have found in all the different disciplines I was researching. Now, it's really important at the end here, I'm going to have a call to action. It's going to ask you to come up with 4 for yourself. So let's move to the next area. Some values, some spiritual values. I know I'm in harmony with my spiritual values when I'm honestly sharing what I'm thinking. I'm courageously sharing what's going on emotionally, how I'm feeling. I'm being assertive rather than aggressive, passive, or passive-aggressive. I'm into daily prayer and meditation practice. It's a must-do. I reach out to my other spiritual warrior brothers and sisters, so I'm not doing this all alone. I'm practicing respectful communication. And most of all, I'm practicing random, altruistic acts of kindness on a daily basis, and whenever possible, anonymously, so I don't get credit. Spiritual practices. You can see there's some overlap here. So when I'm into my spiritual harmony, I'm practicing speaking only the truth, unconditional love, forgiving myself in order to be more forgiving of others. Again, down to prayer and meditation. I repeated that one on purpose because that is so important for me to remember. It's a value and a practice. I'm being one with nature. I'm connecting again with other spiritual warriors. Letting go of resentments. Resentments only hurt me. They do not hurt the other person at all. Making amends for harm that I have caused. And treating everyone with dignity and respect. I'm practicing what my values are. I'm into action. Another one that's not on here is for me, and I have a nice picture on my desk that reminds me to begin each day with a grateful heart. It's a beautiful picture of a heart shape in it with beautiful colors, and it just reminds me to practice that attitude of gratitude. So, now it's time for your spiritual call to action. I want to challenge you and encourage you to write these down, please. So first of all, think about what are your 4 spiritual warrior principles. You can back this webcast up and take a look at these again as many times as you need to. So write down at least 4 principles for you. What are your 4 spiritual warrior values? I love the term spiritual warrior because that is what I've been practicing for almost 35 years now, ever since my injury that got me to dealing with my own chronic pain and loss of functioning. And that's why I said, you know, how does it apply to pain? Well, for me, it has been an integral part of my healing process was to tap into that spiritual power. So the next one is, what are your 4 spiritual warrior practices? Write those down also. What might get in the way of your following through with these? Who can you pick to be an accountability partner who will help you overcome any obstacles and be successful? So please take action and get into this. It's really important. Now that we've come to the end of the beginning, I want to let you know that there are resources out there for you. On my website, freedomfromsufferingnow.com, you can find a lot of different information and knowledge and education about chronic pain, addiction, relapse prevention, and I've written several books in those areas that on our bookstore page you can find out. And like I mentioned earlier, last year I started my spiritual warrior journey, and a couple months ago I started my own Facebook page, Spiritual Warrior Without Armor. And believe me, it's been an exciting journey with that. I do 3 or 4 posts a week on my spiritual warrior reflections and share that with people. My professional Facebook page is Dr. Steve Grinstead. Also, for anybody living with chronic pain, you would be well advised to go check out chronicpainanonymous.org.